So I'm very frustrated right now. I've spent the last just about hour, I'd say, trying to figure out how to connect the microphone. Well, the premise is to get the microphone to work into Logic Studio, and basically the only way I'm able to do that is microphone. I got the end of the cable. That's supposed to plug into my drum machine here. It's got a guitar input, but I'm using the guitar input as a microphone input because they work the same way. And then I'm trying to figure out how to get it to where my drum machine, the sounds in this are being played in Logic Studio, because it works perfectly fine as a regular MIDI controller with the built-in sounds or whatever. But I'm trying to figure out how to get the sounds coming from this into Logic. And I've watched a bunch of tutorial videos on how to make stuff work. I've learned a lot about Logic tonight, but I'm at a loss. I'm frustrated. I'm hungry. The works, you know. So I figured I would take a break from that because I'm seriously needing a break from the videos and the MIDI and the stuff that I'm probably going to learn in a couple months anyway. So I just had to get that out. Anyway, so for class today was pretty good. Well, it was alright because we had a replacement instructor, and she was cool, but I definitely prefer the way that Rain teaches over the lady we had today, because it was just totally different. We covered chapters 10 and 11 in the textbook, and we got out crazy early today because there's certain things that we focus on in the chapter. We don't take everything in the whole chapter, but there's certain things that we focus on. And like, it was, the way she taught the class was strange because she didn't have nearly as many slides, like presentation slides, as Rain does. And so the note-taking wasn't really there because it was more discussion than, you know, learning the stuff. And we talked about the stuff, and I'll get into what the stuff is here in a second. But it wasn't like there was anything for me to write down and go back on to remember. So what I had to do was earlier tonight, I should say, I went back and just reread chapter 10 because, well, not reread, but I read it because she told us to go, you know, and read the chapters so we'd understand it. So I went back tonight and I had chapter 10 on iTunes U, and I followed along and I took notes and everything. I understood a lot more than kind of when we went through it in class because we discussed it really thoroughly, but there, like I said, there was nothing to really go back on and get study, you know what I'm saying? And chapter 10, let's see what the goals for chapter 10 was. We have objectives for chapter 10. Define empathy and sympathy. So empathy is one thing, sympathy is another. I'm not going to get into it right now. Second, listening versus hearing. So we have to differentiate between listening and hearing, because they're two separate things. One's with the brain, one's a mechanical function. It's funny because I talked about it like last week when I was on the bike ride, so I'd already figured that out. Third was the 5 steps to active listening. So when you're actually mentally engaged and you're listening to someone, there's 5 steps that the brain goes through and all this stuff. Next was barriers to empathetic listening, and there's a whole bunch of stuff with that. After that, we're supposed to define and understand feedback. You know, how to like not get angry at someone for giving you feedback, whether they're good at it or not, and how to take feedback and how to give it, etc. Lastly, for chapter 10, was knowing the difference between aggressiveness and assertiveness. And you know, a lot of the reading that I did in chapter 10 really made me realize, hey, you know, I should be this way a little more. It made me recognize how I'm already acting. And it's not like I'm totally like a doormat, like people are walking over me, but at the same time I noticed ways that, you know, I can voice my opinion a little more loudly, just so it gets out there, you know what I'm saying? So that's the cool thing about this class that I've noticed, is that it really kind of makes you look at, well, how am I doing things in regards to this or that, etc. You know what I'm saying? So that was cool. Figured out a couple things about myself. That was Chapter 10. Those are the Chapter 10 objectives. For Chapter 11, we're supposed to define narcissism, define and understand diversity, understand components of diversity, and lastly, define entitlement. So, Chapter 11, again, I'm going to go back and not reread, but actually read the chapter, because again, today in class was a little weird. I wasn't really digging it. But I'm going to go back and read Chapter 11, but I'm going to focus on this stuff, because Chapter 10 is so much shorter than Chapter 11. Like, in the iTunes recordings that I have, because luckily I figured out that all the chapters that are on iTunes U are the ones that we're going to cover. And Chapter 10 was only about it was 38 minutes and 19 seconds long. And then Chapter 11 is an hour and 23 minutes long. So it's like double the length. So I'm going to try to go through and focus on the stuff that we're supposed to focus on. And I'm going to do that tomorrow, because I don't feel like reading textbook. I finished the Chapter 10 stuff, and then I read a little bit in the acoustics and psychoacoustics book. And I started watching some Mars Volta videos, their live stuff, I'm not going to lie. And that's what got me interested in trying to figure out how to hook up the microphone, because I know how to reverse audio files. Well, not like files, but audio tracks. Like if there's a segment in Logic, and it plays it forward, but I know how to make it backwards now. So I was gonna just screw around with my voice and play stuff backwards and make tons of weird noises and run it through effects. Like, I thought it would be really cool to run my voice through an arpeggiator. How wacky would that be? And that's how all that got started, and I haven't figured it out yet. I'm going to conquer this thing. Whether it's, pretty soon, or I guess once I take the class. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, chapters 10 and 11 today were really no problem. Chapter 10 especially, I understand the stuff pretty well. The feedback and, what else was there? Empathy and sympathy. A bunch of really common sense stuff and things that I'd kind of figured out already. That seems to be the trend with that class. I'll figure something out, and then we'll talk about it. And I didn't, I didn't know we were going to be talking about it. So it's pretty cool. I guess today was... Oh, and then, today was a good day overall. And then tomorrow, we were supposed to meet up. We kind of met up today, but not everyone had their lyrics finished in the group. So tomorrow, we're meeting up at 3 o'clock to kind of hash it out, rehearse the skit, and fill in the holes wherever need be. And I'm getting along with the discussion question number 5, the one that's about like the group evaluation stuff. There's 27 questions total, and I'm 10 questions in, so I'm a little over a third of the way done with it, so it's pretty cool. Trucking with that, I'm really trying not to procrastinate. I'm really, right now there's some parties and stuff going on, and I decided at least right now in my life, I don't really need the partying. Probably later down the road, but for right now, I'm just knowledge and just information and stuff. I'm really going for it right now because I want to be the best at what I do, or what I want to do, and I'm in terms of my methods of getting there, I'm a little ruthless. I'm not gonna go party and whatever when there's stuff to do. You know what I'm saying? Like later down the road, when there's the free time and when I feel like it, when I'm needing a break, then I'll go to the parties and stuff. But for now, we're talking acoustics and psychoacoustics. It's psychology with the behavioral science, the MIDI stuff, logic, because I'm figuring stuff out. I learned a lot about logic tonight. I learned a lot about chapter 10. About the empathy and the sympathy and the listening and the hearing and the feedback and just stuff that I'm going to be able to apply that's going to really make me, or help make me successful, I should say. And especially the acoustics book. I'm learning so much about sound, and a lot of it, it's some people would argue, oh, well, why can't you just use your ear to figure out what sounds best? Yeah, you can't. That is, for the most part, the way that I figure I'm going to do it, but it's nice to know how it works. That way, if all else fails, I've got the knowledge and the backup, to support that. Because what happens if I don't know, the room, this recording studio just has totally wacky, and no one knows why. Like, they're trying to figure it out, but you can't figure it out with your ears because it's just weird. Well, you know the stuff, and the math equations and all that kind of stuff I don't really get, but I'm learning the concepts that it's explaining, and with the psychoacoustics and stuff, it's crazy. Like, you could have a wavelength way down at like 20 hertz at like at 6 decibels, for example. We'll say 30 decibels where you could probably hear it, and then you could have a frequency way up at, I don't know, say 15 kilohertz, and they could be at the exact same decibel level, but they are not going to be the same volume. It's really weird. And it has to do with frequency, and I'm just learning all this crazy stuff, and I'm loving it. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I know I'm kind of getting off the school today, a little bit more personal stuff, but, I mean, these things just come to me. But in terms of the school, there really wasn't much. We just covered 2 more chapters today in the book. We had a different instructor. There was a little bit of stranger danger going on because I really wasn't digging the way she was teaching. I'm sure if she was my actual instructor, I'd be used to it, but she teaches a different way. I'm not used to it. It's weird. And I suppose it's going to be something I have to get over because we change instructors every month with the classes. But that's a different thing. I'll figure that out whenever I actually get there, which is pretty soon. There's only 2 more weeks of behavioral science left. The group project is due this coming Thursday. That's going to come to a close. The final is a week after. No more Saturday classes. I've only got 4 more behavioral science classes to go. We have Tuesday, Thursday this week, and Tuesday, Thursday the next week. So we're moving along. This stuff is trucking. I really am learning a lot. I can't, I won't lie about it. But it's mind you, the reason I feel like I'm gaining so much right now is because I'm applying stuff. I'm really going for it. It's not like I'm just doing the work and kind of passing by. I'm really digging into this stuff, and that's the main thing about this school. You want to be successful by going to the school and coming out of it. You got to do the work. This is not a school where you just do the stuff. No, you have to do this stuff with a capital D, you know what I mean? I mean, you got to get into it, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm loving it because for the first time, I really feel like, and this doesn't apply to drums, don't get me wrong, but for the first time, as far as education-wise, I feel like I want to learn stuff, and I'm going for it, and it's stuff that I'm interested in, and I love it, and I don't think any other school could give me what I'm going after, so it's really cool. I guess I'm in a really good mood. The frustration lifted. I'm going to figure out the mic stuff later because I really want to figure it out because I was watching this video of the Mars Volta, and Cedric was doing this crazy stuff. He was like, and just making sound effects with the microphone. He was holding it all crazy and stuff, and I want to play with it too. I want to see what I can come up with, because they are my favorite band, and I'm probably copying them verbatim, but hey, that's how you learn. You take something and then it kind of makes its own thing. So I'm not really afraid to say that, yeah, I'm kind of copying the Mars Volta, but that's okay because I'm sure that at some point it's going to mold into its own thing, and I suppose it already has because I'm not as crazy as they are. I don't have the resources and stuff, so I got to make do with what I got. And that in turn is going to make its own thing. And I know I'm kind of going off on a lot of stuff, but these are my thoughts, man. Like, just bear with me here. I'm thinking, I'm going. Gosh. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. Sorry. But I guess I can go ahead and cut the video. School. I'm going to make a video tomorrow. And probably maybe Monday. But tomorrow for sure because I know we're having the group rehearsal and whatnot, and I might not get footage of that because I want to save it for the actual performance, but I'll let you know how it goes. And if Monday I may not do a video because I might not be doing anything that's totally school related. But if we have a group meeting, or I get through chapter 11 and it's just totally miraculous, then I'll make a video on Monday. But Tuesday, tomorrow, and then Tuesday for sure. Monday, maybe, we'll see. But hopefully you could get something from all my rambling. I'm just kind of hanging out here in the house tonight. It's no big deal. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. Thanks for tuning in. If you got any questions, then let me know. Oh, and actually, someone did have a question. I'm going to pull up the YouTube real quick. I had almost forgot. Let's see. Comments. Here we go. How high does your GPA need to be? The GPA thing, I'm really not too sure of. I came out of high school with like a 3.6. I do believe it was in between a 3.5 and 3.6. So it wasn't really something I had to worry about. But I'm sure your admissions rep can help you out because I honestly don't know. And as far as SATs go and stuff like that, I didn't take any. I mean, I'll just outright say it. I did not take the SATs and I did not take the ACTs. And I suppose they're not required because they never asked for the scores and they never said that they were required. So, you know, that's what's up because I am totally against the standardized testing. Like, maybe I'm not against it, but I can't really dig it because it's not unfair, but it makes life more difficult, and we all know it. And that's the one thing, that's the other cool thing about this school is that, like they say, you know, if you're serious about your dream, then they'll take your dream seriously, and they will, you know, there's the money issue, of course. The whole monetary system of America is just, don't get me started on that stuff. But as far as you need to, you know, have your GED, your high school and stuff, but I don't think they need the SATs or any testing or anything. But as far as the GPA question goes, I'm not totally sure. If you need me to, I can find out for you. I will do that. You know who you are, or just anyone in general. And in fact, I will find that out for you, because you know who you are. Which, he left a comment. It's Rascals W Mind. So, I'll find out for you. No worries, my man. I'll have that tomorrow, if I can. I think there's a behind-the-scenes tour at the school, so I'm sure someone's going to be there. But anyway, I'm done talking for tonight. I'm almost at like 20 minutes. Thanks for watching again. I know I said it earlier. You know, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to get to them. Sometimes I forget because there's just a lot going on. So bear with me. I will get to you at some point. I promise. Soon. It will be sooner than later. At any rate, I'm going to probably get back to figuring out the microphone thing because I really want to know and I really want to be able to make it work. Otherwise, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow with an update about the group project and what's going on with that. Chapter 11, I'm going to knock it out tomorrow because it's really long. And yeah, have a good day or night whenever you're watching, and I'll see you soon.